The power of spoken word is one of the most profound forces in the universe. From the beginning of time, it has shaped destinies, shifted nations, brought light into darkness, and given form to the formless. Words are not merely sounds or vibrations in the air. They are containers of power. They carry life or they carry death. This truth is so deeply embedded in both spiritual and psychological law that to ignore it is to live beneath your calling, beneath your authority, and beneath your potential. From ancient times it has been declared that the world itself was brought into being not by hands, not by tools, but by the spoken word. Let there be light, and there was light. These words were not a suggestion or a hopeful idea. They were a declaration backed by authority, intention, and power. The universe responded not to effort, but to utterance. And if the foundations of the cosmos rest on the power of a spoken word, how much more should your own life be shaped by what you choose to say? Your words are not idle. Every time you speak, you are either building or breaking, planting or uprooting, empowering or depleting. When you talk to yourself, you are prophesying over your own life. You are either sowing seeds of victory or of defeat. And the tragedy is that most people go through life speaking curses over themselves without realizing it. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. I'll never change. Nothing ever works out for me. These are not harmless statements. They are spiritual agreements with darkness. They are contracts your soul signs without reading the fine print. But what if, for just 3 days, you turned this power in the right direction? What if, instead of using your words to reinforce fear, failure, and frustration, you used them to reinforce your identity, your calling, your purpose, and your destiny? What if you began to speak life with intention, not based on what you see, but based on what is true? You see, there's a difference between facts and truth. The fact may be that you're struggling, but the truth is you are more than a conqueror. The fact may be that you feel alone, but the truth is you are never forsaken. The fact may be that you failed, but the truth is that failure is not your name. It is only a lesson, and it is words, your words, that decide which of these becomes your reality. Science has even begun to catch up with this truth. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and rewire itself, is directly affected by your thoughts and speech. What you say influences what you believe, and what you believe shapes how you act. This is not just spiritual poetry, it's how your brain is wired. When you speak life, your brain starts to look for life. When you speak gratitude, your mind becomes a garden where contentment grows. When you speak power, your spirit begins to walk with a new posture. You are always listening to you. Your inner voice becomes your external reality. So if your words are filled with doubt, shame, and despair, your life will reflect it. But if your words are filled with faith, strength, and vision, your life will begin to rise. And it is not just about motivation. It is about transformation. Words change your internal chemistry, your focus, your decisions, and your trajectory. Consider this. If a parent tells a child repeatedly that they are stupid or worthless, that child begins to embody that lie. It doesn't take long before it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if that same child is told that they are intelligent, gifted, and destined for greatness, even in the face of failure, they rise. Why? Because belief, birthed through words, carries the power to mold identity. You are no different. You are still that child in some way, responding to the voice that speaks over you. But here is the revelation. That voice is now yours. You are the prophet of your own life. What you say to yourself becomes law in your inner court. So for 3 days issue new decrees. Proclaim strength where you feel weak. Declare clarity where there is confusion. Speak peace in the middle of the storm. Don't just think these things ***, say them ***. Say them out loud. Why? Because spoken words leave your mouth and return to your ears. They activate both spiritual authority and psychological alignment. They invite heaven's order and discipline your scattered mind. Speak as though every word plants a seed in the soil of your destiny, because it does. This is not about pretending life is easy. It's about refusing to let your struggle write your script. Yes, you may be in the fire, but say, even here I will not be burned, I am being refined. You may be in the valley, but say, even here I walk with purpose, I will rise. You may be in a season of silence, but say, even here I am growing, I am not forgotten. For 3 days make your mouth a vessel of truth. Do not repeat what the enemy says about you. Do not echo what fear whispers. Do not verbalize the lies that have kept you bound. Speak what is higher, what is eternal, what is divine. Speak what aligns with who you were created to be, not who you have been told you are. Talk to yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. Talk to yourself like someone who carries legacy, because you do. Talk to yourself like someone who is not defeated, but developing, because this is not your end, it's your formation. 3 days, just 3 days, that's all it takes to start turning the tide. If you can discipline your words for 3 days, you'll feel the shift. Your mind will begin to follow your mouth. Your emotions will begin to submit to your declarations. Your atmosphere will begin to reflect your language. And beyond those 3 days, keep going. Let it become your lifestyle. Let it become your discipline. Let it become your worship, because your words have power. Power to bind, power to loose, power to limit, power to liberate, power to curse, power to bless. Talk to yourself with power. Speak as one who knows they are not just surviving, but rising. Speaking to yourself in alignment with your true identity is not just a motivational exercise. It is a spiritual, emotional, and psychological discipline that has the power to transform every aspect of your life. Your identity, who you believe you are, becomes the foundation upon which every decision, every reaction, every dream, and every limitation is built. And yet, most people are walking through life wearing names and titles they were never meant to carry. From a young age, we are labeled by the world around us. These labels come from parents, teachers, friends, media, trauma, experiences, and failures. You're too slow. You're not smart enough. You're a troublemaker. You'll never amount to anything. You're just average. These words stick, not because they are true, but because we never replace them. And without even realizing it, we begin to internalize these false identities. We speak them to ourselves so often that they become the lens through which we see everything else. What you call yourself matters. If you identify as broken, you will live cautiously, waiting for more pieces to fall off. If you identify as unwanted, you will expect rejection. If you identify as a failure, you will see even small setbacks as confirmation. But if you begin to identify as someone chosen, healed, equipped, and beloved, your entire life begins to shift. To speak to yourself as one rooted in truth is to declare war on every lie you've believed. It means renouncing every false identity and reclaiming the one you were born with. And that identity is not based on what you've done or what's been done to you. It is based on who you were created to be. When you speak according to your true identity, you are not denying your struggles, but you are denying them the authority to define you. You can say, yes, I've battled depression, but I am not depression. I am joy waiting to awaken. You can say, I've made mistakes, but I am not a mistake. I am growth in process. You can say, I've been rejected, but I am not rejection. I am deeply accepted by the one who knows me most. This is not self-help fluff or empty positivity. This is truth. The same way a tree cannot thrive if its roots are planted in poison. Your life cannot flourish if your identity is rooted in lies. You must replant your roots into the soil of truth. that starts with your words. Words are not just reflections of what you think, they are tools for transformation. When you speak truth over yourself, even if you don't feel it yet, you are actively reshaping your internal world. It's like realigning a compass. Every word pulls your sense of direction closer to what is real, not just what is familiar. You were not born to live under the weight of false names. You were created to walk in confidence, clarity, and purpose. But confidence is not arrogance. It is agreement with truth. It is saying, I may not be perfect, but I am purposed. It is speaking to yourself not according to what you feel in the moment, but according to what is eternally true. Consider what happens when you speak identity over a child. A child who hears, you are kind, you are capable, you are strong, will begin to walk in alignment with those words, not instantly, not perfectly, but directionally. They will begin to rise into those names. The same is true for you. Your spirit is listening. Your subconscious is listening. Your actions begin to obey your declarations. This is why, for 3 days, you must speak to yourself only in the language of identity. Not how you feel, not what others have said, but what is true. Wake up and declare, I am not behind, I am not late, I am in the process, I am being shaped for something greater. Say, I carry wisdom, I carry purpose, I carry solutions, I am not a victim, I am a vessel. You may think, but what if I don't believe it yet? You speak it anyway. Your beliefs will catch up to your words. Faith comes by hearing, and sometimes the first voice that needs to preach to you is your own. You don't wait until you feel strong to say, I am strong. You say it until your mind begins to accept it as normal, and then your actions follow. Think about a sculptor looking at a block of stone. To everyone else, it looks rough, shapeless, heavy, but the sculptor sees what's inside. That is what your words do. They chip away at everything that is not you until the real you emerges, not the you shaped by fear, shame, or regret, but the you that was always meant to be revealed. Your true identity is not fragile. It is not insecure. It is not defined by your worst days. It is anchored in something unshakable, and every time you speak to yourself according to that truth, you anchor yourself deeper into it. Say, I am not my past. I am not what I've lost. I am not the names they gave me in anger. I am not the silence of those who should have seen me. I am not invisible. I am not irrelevant. I am not forgotten. Then say what you are asterisk. I am valuable. I am seen. I am here for a reason. I matter. I am loved. I have something to give. These are not just words. These are bricks in the foundation of a new identity. They are corrections to years of mislabeling. They are medicine to your soul. And if you do this for just 3 days, truly commit to speaking to yourself only from the lens of your true identity, you will begin to feel it. Not because magic has occurred, but because alignment has. You'll notice you walk a little taller. You think a little clearer. You begin to make different decisions. Why? Because you're no longer operating as the old version of you. You're speaking, and therefore becoming, the version of you that was always meant to live. There is no greater discipline than the discipline of identity-based speech. It is the foundation for all growth. It is the gatekeeper of mental and emotional health. It is the fuel of your confidence, and it is a daily decision. You may not be able to control every situation, but you can control how you speak to yourself through it. You can say, this is hard, but I am harder. This hurts, but I am healing. This feels uncertain, but I am guided. You speak like someone who knows who they are, even when everything else is unclear. For 3 days, speak to yourself as though your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Identity determines destiny, and destiny begins with your declarations. Speak truth, speak life, speak identity. Then watch what rises in you. Renewing the mind is not a one-time act, but a continual process, a discipline of daily transformation that begins with the most powerful yet often neglected tool, the words you speak to yourself. The mind, by nature, is shaped by repetition. It retains patterns, internalizes voices, and builds thought pathways based on what it hears repeatedly, especially from your own mouth. So, when you begin to intentionally speak truth, life, and purpose over your mind for even a short period, such as 3 days, you are not simply encouraging yourself, you are initiating a reset. You are starting the process of renewal. Think of the mind as a field. Every thought, every word you speak is a seed. Over time, those seeds grow into beliefs, and those beliefs bear fruit in the form of decisions, habits, and outcomes. If you've been speaking fear, defeat, and shame for years, your mind has been growing weeds. These weeds don't need your permission. They grow naturally in the soil of neglect and negativity. But when you begin to speak differently, intentionally, truthfully, you start uprooting what doesn't belong and replacing it with what does. Renewing the mind requires more than positive thinking. It requires the replacement of old lies with higher truth. For many, the mind has become a battlefield filled with voices from the past, voices of criticism, comparison, rejection, and fear. These voices echo louder than any external enemy. They say, "You'll always be this way. Why try again? You're not like them." These lies gain power not just because they were spoken once, but because you've replayed them thousands of times. But renewal starts when you stop echoing those lies. For just 3 days, decide to catch every negative word before it exits your mouth. Replace "I'm so tired of failing" with "I am learning and rising." Replace "I can't do this" with "I'm being strengthened through this." The more you speak truth, the more your mind starts to align with it. At first, it may feel unnatural. You may feel like you're lying to yourself, but in reality, you're speaking what has always been true. You just forgot it under the noise of the world. The human brain is built to adapt. It's called neuroplasticity, the mind's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. What you consistently say begins to shape these pathways. If you constantly speak defeat, your brain will wire itself for defeat. If you speak victory, your brain begins to expect and seek out victory. This is not just theory, it's science. More importantly, it is spiritual principle. You are transformed by the renewing of your mind. Many of us are not stuck because life is hard. We're stuck because our minds are clogged with outdated programming. We've believed the wrong things for so long that truth feels foreign. But truth is not absent. It's waiting to be reintroduced. And your words are the key. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start changing the internal dialogue. For 3 days, take hold of your language and see what begins to shift. When you wake up, don't let your first thoughts be stress and dread. Speak, say, "Today is not random. I am here for a reason. I will walk with clarity. I will respond with grace. I will not be driven by fear." Throughout your day, when old mental patterns try to sneak in, those default reactions that say, "This always happens to me," or "I never get it right," interrupt them. Speak a new narrative. Say, "This may have happened before, but today I respond differently. I am not my past pattern. I am a new creation." At night, don't rehearse your failures. Rehearse your growth. Speak gratitude. Declare peace. Say, "Today I took one more step. I am further than I was. I rest in purpose." These small declarations begin to dislodge years of internal clutter. You start making room for something better, something true. Renewing the mind also requires that you stop agreeing with voices that never had the right to define you. Maybe it was a teacher who said you weren't smart, or a parent who made you feel like you were never enough. Maybe it was a failure that spoke louder than your courage, but you are not required to carry those voices into your future. You can say, "That was spoken over me, but it does not belong to me." You can say, "I now choose which voices live in my mind." Speaking truth over yourself is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is choosing to align your internal world with what heaven already knows to be true. You were not born for fear, for shame, for self-loathing. You were born to walk in confidence, clarity, and peace. But your mind must be trained, just like your body, and your words are the workout. This is why it must become a daily discipline. Just like cleaning your home, the mind must be cleared, maintained, and refreshed. Otherwise, the debris of life piles up. Negative thoughts, stress, assumptions, and old fears take residence. But every time you speak life, especially when it's hard, you're sweeping the floor. You're making room for wisdom, joy, and vision. There's a reason transformation doesn't begin with behavior change, but with mind renewal. If you don't think differently, you'll return to the same cycles, no matter how hard you try to change. It's not your willpower that will sustain the transformation, it's your mindset. That's why, even if you change environments, jobs, or relationships, if your mind remains unchanged, the same problems follow you. But when your mind is renewed, even in the same circumstances, your experience changes. For 3 days, speak only what builds. Catch every self-insult, every hopeless phrase, and replace it. Be militant about your language. Don't allow "I'm just not cut out for this," or "this always happens to me," to go unchallenged. Counter it with truth. "I am equipped for this. I am not alone. I am being refined, not rejected." Make it personal. Write out a few statements rooted in truth, and repeat them throughout the day, not as magic words, but as declarations of intent. For example, "I have the mind of peace. I reject fear and welcome courage. I am not stuck. I am in process. I let go of lies and embrace truth." And if you slip up, if you say something negative, don't condemn yourself. Just correct it. Speak the truth again. You are training your mind to live free, and training takes time. This is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about building a new internal culture where hope, resilience, and clarity can thrive. And it all begins with your words. They are the steering wheel of your mind. Where your words go, your thoughts follow. Where your thoughts go, your emotions follow. Where your emotions go, your life follows. So for 3 days, give your mind a gift it may have never received before: consistency and truth. Speak like someone who is not just trying to survive, but someone who is choosing to live renewed each day from the inside out. Because when your mind is renewed, your life is transformed, and transformation doesn't just happen to you. It begins with what you say. The words you speak out loud are not just sounds in the air. They are declarations of authority, blueprints for your reality, and seeds for your future. When you speak truth out loud, you are not just affirming what is. You are calling into existence what asterisk should be asterisk. Speaking truth is an act of spiritual alignment. It is declaring that, regardless of what the circumstances around you look like, you choose to stand in agreement with what is higher, deeper, and eternal. And that spoken agreement carries power. There is a reason truth must be spoken and not just thought. Thoughts remain internal, private, and often fleeting, but words, when spoken out loud, cross the boundary from your inner world into the external. They establish presence. They activate the ears, not only of others but your own. You hear what you say, and your subconscious records it. Your body responds to it. Your emotions take cues from it. What you speak forms the emotional and psychological atmosphere around you. That's why it's not enough to silently believe something powerful. You must vocalize it. Speaking truth is not always easy, especially when everything around you seems to contradict it. But that's precisely when it matters most. When you speak truth in the middle of a storm, you're not denying the storm. You're denying its right to define you. You're not pretending the waves aren't there. You're reminding yourself and everything around you that the storm is not your identity. That is what it means to speak with authority. It is not wishful thinking. It is standing on truth as your foundation, no matter how loud the winds howl. For many people, their environment has been shaped not by what others have said to them, but by what they have said about themselves. Words like "I'm always unlucky," "nothing ever works for me," "I'm not capable," or "I'll never change," these are not passive phrases. They are permissions. They are declarations that create limitations. And even if those limitations began as someone else's opinion, the moment you adopt them as your own, they begin to take root and bear fruit. That is why, for even just 3 days, if you stop speaking in agreement with lies and begin speaking truth, the atmosphere of your entire life begins to shift. Truth must be spoken boldly, not timidly. You don't whisper truth into a battlefield. You proclaim it like a trumpet. Truth has a sound. It breaks through confusion. It disrupts fear. It silences shame. When you say out loud, "I am not forgotten," you challenge every moment that made you feel invisible. When you say, "I have purpose," you counteract years of wandering and self-doubt. These are not just hopeful phrases. They are weapons, and the battlefield is often your own mind. There is spiritual authority in your voice. It was given to you not just to communicate, but to create. From the very beginning, creation responded to voice. Light came because it was spoken. The universe was set in motion by declaration. That same principle is embedded in you. When you speak truth over your life, your future begins to shift to make room for it. The more consistent you are, the stronger the foundation becomes. Each day, each declaration builds upon the last. It is a daily construction of reality based not on emotion but on truth. And truth is not always what you feel. It is what is. Your feelings may tell you that you're not loved, but the truth is you are. Your circumstances may tell you that you are stuck, but the truth is you are being shaped. When you speak only what you feel, you reinforce the temporary. When you speak truth, you reinforce the eternal. That is why, even when it feels awkward or unnatural, speaking truth is essential. It reorients your internal compass. It redirects your focus from lack to provision, from fear to faith, from despair to hope. You might ask, what does truth sound like? Truth sounds like clarity. It sounds like light. It sounds like identity restored. It sounds like someone who knows they are not defined by failure. It sounds like someone who knows they have a calling greater than their current chaos. It sounds like a person waking up to who they really are. So when you speak, don't speak as a beggar hoping for scraps. Speak as someone who knows they belong at the table. Speak as someone whose voice carries the weight of destiny. During these 3 days, every time you open your mouth, ask yourself, am I speaking truth or am I reinforcing a lie? You will be shocked at how often your words have been repeating old fears, outdated narratives, or limiting beliefs. But once you become aware, you can begin to change. Replace "I'm just not meant for this" with "I am being equipped for this." Replace "it's too late for me" with "I am right on time for what I was created to do." Replace "I always mess things up" with "I am learning and I grow stronger through every challenge." There's a principle that what you magnify with your words, you empower. If you constantly talk about your weaknesses, they grow. If you constantly declare your past, it overshadows your future. But if you speak life, life grows. If you speak vision, vision begins to lead you. This is why some people remain stuck, not because their potential is small, but because their words never gave that potential permission to move forward. And this practice of speaking truth must become more than a temporary exercise. It should become a lifestyle. Begin your morning with truth. Don't let the first voice you hear be fear or anxiety. Let it be truth, spoken by you for you. Say, I am not a mistake. I have something to offer. Today I walk with purpose. Let these be your anchor before the world has a chance to throw its weight on you. And before you sleep, release every negative agreement. Say, I am not carrying this into tomorrow. I rest in truth. It will feel strange at first, like you're speaking in a language you haven't practiced in years. That's okay. Truth often feels foreign when lies have been familiar. But if you keep speaking it, it will become your new normal. Your voice will become a place of healing, not harm, and your environment will begin to reflect your declarations. If you want to change your life, start by changing your language. Let no word leave your lips without passing through the filter of truth. Hold your tongue when fear wants to speak. Instead, let boldness speak. Let peace speak. Let vision speak. Your words were never meant to reflect your pain alone. They were meant to carry you out of it. So for 3 days, speak as if your life depended on it, because in many ways it does. Speak as if your future is listening, because it is. Speak as if the walls that have held you back can hear you, because they can. And speak not just what is seen, but what is unseen. Call forth what is buried. Declare what is becoming. Speak what aligns with purpose, not with panic. You were given a voice to create, not just communicate. Use it. Speak truth out loud. Let your ears hear it. Let your mind catch up to it. Let your life align with it. And watch as, slowly but surely, everything begins to shift. Your identity is not determined by your past, your failures, your doubts, or the labels the world has placed on you. It is determined by the truth of who you were created to be. But if you don't intentionally speak that identity into your daily life, you risk living far below the level of clarity and power you were designed for. Too many people live their entire lives under false names, wearing invisible labels like not enough, too broken, unworthy, unlovable, too late, or never chosen. These are not just feelings. They are identities that have been unconsciously accepted and reinforced through years of repetition, both internally and externally. But here is the unshakable truth. What you say about yourself to yourself carries the weight of agreement. When you declare something over your life, whether true or false, your mind and spirit begin to build a framework around that declaration. That's why speaking truth about who you really are is so powerful. It is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about reminding yourself of the identity that has been there all along, often buried beneath shame, fear, comparison, and disappointment. Identity is not just about how you see yourself. It's about what you answer to. If someone calls you a failure and you respond to it internally, even if you don't speak it aloud, you have given it power. But when you speak out loud a different name, you silence every false one. Say, I am not my mistake. Say, I am not defined by what they did or what I did. Say, I am called, I am chosen, I am loved, I am here for a reason. These are not clichés. They are declarations of war against the lies that have claimed squatters' rights in your mind for too long. For 3 days, reject the old names. Don't speak them, don't entertain them, don't answer to them. Every time you hear the inner voice say, you're not capable, Stop and say out loud, I am being prepared. When the thought comes, you're just faking it. Respond out loud, I am walking in faith, not in fear. You are not obligated to echo the names that were never yours to carry. You are free to speak new ones, truer ones, ones that come from the higher place of purpose and calling. Think of identity as a mirror. When the mirror is clean, it reflects your true image. But over time, the mirror becomes fogged with false reflections, others' opinions, past failures, rejection, trauma, and fear. You begin to see a distorted image, and eventually you accept it as truth. But when you speak truth, it wipes the mirror clean. Each declaration is like a cloth swiping away the fog. Slowly, your reflection begins to look like the real you. You begin to see not just who you are, but who you were always meant to be. There is nothing more transformative than rediscovering who you truly are, not who you've settled into, but who you were created to be. And that rediscovery begins with the words you speak about yourself. It's not enough for others to believe in you. You must believe in you. You must see yourself with clarity, because how you see yourself determines how you act, how you love, how you lead, how you dream, and how you endure. And what you say reinforces that vision. You might say, but I don't feel like any of those things. I don't feel called or strong or chosen. That's exactly why speaking truth is so critical. Truth is not based on feelings, it's based on fact. And the fact is, your identity was established before your mistakes, before your doubts, before your insecurity. Feelings change, truth does not, and when you speak the truth consistently, even if your feelings don't immediately agree, your soul starts to respond. Your spirit begins to rise, your courage starts to grow. There is deep psychological and spiritual alignment that happens when you speak identity aloud. The mind responds to language, and your brain begins to build new pathways every time you reinforce a new truth. Neuroplasticity shows us that the brain can literally rewire itself, and one of the strongest influences on that rewiring is the repetition of spoken words. If you constantly say, I'm not enough, your brain will start to seek evidence for that belief. But if you consistently say, I am growing, I am being equipped, I have value, your mind will start to notice moments that reinforce those truths. You begin to live from a different center. This doesn't mean you will never feel insecure again, but it means insecurity will no longer have the final word. It doesn't mean you won't be tempted to go back to old mindsets, but it does mean you now have a tool, a weapon, your words, to pull you out of those patterns. This is why, even if your environment doesn't change immediately, your experience of that environment can shift drastically, simply because you are no longer agreeing with the lies that once defined you. It's time to reclaim your name, not the name others gave you in mockery, not the name your failures tried to assign to you, but the name that speaks to your truest identity. Speak it over yourself every morning. Speak it when you're driving. Speak it when no one else is around. Speak it when the voice of self-doubt gets loud. Say, I am not forgotten. I am not invisible. I am a carrier of purpose. I was made for this time, this place, this calling. You don't need someone else to validate you before you begin to walk in that identity. You've already been validated by something higher. The only question is, will you come into agreement with it? Will you open your mouth and speak it, even when it feels strange, even when no one else around you understands it? This is what faith looks like, not waiting until you feel worthy, but declaring who you are until you rise into it. You may have been walking in the wrong identity for years. You may have spoken words over yourself that broke your own spirit. But 3 days of speaking truth can begin to change the direction of a life. It can begin to peel off layers of false identity, It can begin to reintroduce you to yourself, and not the version shaped by fear, but the version shaped by destiny. This is not self-help. This is soul alignment. This is remembering. This is returning. This is standing up in the middle of a world that profits from your confusion and saying, I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I will no longer speak anything that betrays that truth. Because when you start speaking from identity, you stop chasing validation. You start living with conviction. You stop comparing and start building. You stop shrinking and start standing. And when others hear you speak, they're reminded of who they are too. Because truth doesn't just lift you, it lifts everyone around you. So for 3 days, let every word out of your mouth be a mirror of who you truly are. Speak no labels that were not given to you in love. Answer to no name that doesn't honor your worth. Let your language reflect your calling. Let your declarations build your destiny. Speak from identity. And watch your entire life begin to rise. The process of transformation does not begin on the outside. It begins within. Every great change in life starts with a shift in the mind, a choice in the heart, and a new direction in the spirit. But to truly see transformation unfold, there must be a commitment to consistency, especially in the way you speak to yourself. When you take even 3 days to intentionally guard your words, to monitor your thoughts, and to declare truth over your life, you begin to retrain your mind and reprogram your spirit. The results may not be instantaneous, but the shift is undeniable. It is the beginning of a new way of being. You are not a machine that simply reacts to data. You are a living, breathing soul, and the patterns you form are shaped not only by what happens to you, but by how you respond, how you think, and most importantly, how you speak. When you wake up in the morning and immediately rehearse yesterday's fears, disappointments, or doubts, you are programming your day to follow that same cycle. But when you wake up and declare life, gratitude, clarity, and purpose, even if you don't fully feel it yet, you disrupt that cycle. You begin to plant new seeds. Transformation begins with small, often unseen steps. It's in the decision to cancel a thought that doesn't serve your future. It's in the choice to speak life instead of complaint. It's in choosing to pause before you speak, asking yourself, is this true? Is this life? Giving, is this who I want to become? These moments might seem small, but over time they become the foundation of something unshakable. You are teaching your mind that it does not run the show. Your spirit does. And your spirit, aligned with truth, becomes the leader, not the follower. For too long, many people have allowed their lives to be dictated by habits formed from pain. Words that were once said in a moment of weakness become repeated narratives. I'm not good enough. I always fail. Nothing ever changes. These aren't just sentences. They are chains. But when you replace them with declarations rooted in truth, I'm growing stronger. I learn from every mistake. I am being transformed day by day. You begin to forge a new path. It might feel awkward at first, like walking in shoes that don't quite fit yet. But if you keep walking, those shoes become yours. Consistency is the key. You cannot speak truth once and expect everything to change. Just as a seed does not become a tree overnight, the declarations you make over your life need time, nurture, and repetition. Speak truth in the morning, in the heat of the day, and before you sleep. Let it become the rhythm of your life. Let it become your natural language. Over time, you will begin to notice a shift, not just in how you feel, but in what you believe and how you behave. You begin to rise to the level of your declarations. And let this be clear. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's not about denying the challenges. It's about refusing to give the challenges more authority than the truth. You can be honest about pain and still speak life. You can be aware of what's broken and still declare healing. Speaking truth is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing the asterisk higher asterisk reality. It's about deciding that what is eternal and foundational will have more weight in your life than what is temporary and shifting. One of the most powerful aspects of this practice is that it invites divine alignment. When you speak truth, truth that is rooted in love, wisdom, and eternal values, you align yourself with the very source of life. You are not just trying to change yourself through effort alone. You are partnering with something greater than you. And when you speak truth consistently, you open the door for transformation to come not just through your willpower, but through grace. You begin to walk in sync with something holy, something sacred. Even science affirms what ancient wisdom has long taught, that our words shape our reality. Studies in neuroscience have shown that repeated speech patterns form neural pathways, literally altering how your brain functions. Words like I am safe, I am loved, I am becoming, or I am free have measurable effects on stress, decision making, and even physical health. That's how powerful consistency is. When you repeat truth, you are not just making noise. You are creating a new atmosphere within you and around you. This is why just 3 days can begin to change the course of a life. Because in 3 days, you can begin a habit. You can begin to break agreement with the lies that have held you back. You can begin to wake up differently, speak differently, and therefore live differently. Don't underestimate the power of such a small window. Some of the most powerful shifts in human history happened in a matter of days. The moment you choose truth, even for a short time, you begin a ripple effect that goes beyond your immediate understanding. Transformation is not about perfection. It's about direction, and the moment you start walking toward truth, intentionally, consistently, audibly, you've changed your direction. You may still have struggles. You may still hear the voice of fear, but now you're no longer giving that voice the microphone. Now you are choosing who gets to narrate your story, and that shift alone is powerful enough to change everything. Even when no one else sees it, even when the change feels invisible, it is happening. Because every time you speak truth, you are reinforcing a new structure in your life. You are building strength where there was once weakness. You are cultivating hope where there was despair, and that kind of transformation cannot be taken from you. It becomes part of your foundation. So do not wait for the world to affirm what you know must be true. Do not wait for circumstances to catch up before you begin to speak differently. Begin now. Begin while everything still looks the same on the outside, because that's when the most powerful transformations happen, not when the world changes first, but when you change first. And as you change, your world will follow. Commit to this. For 3 days, speak nothing but life. Speak only what aligns with your calling, your healing, your purpose. Don't let old habits speak for you. Don't let fear write your script. Let your words be instruments of change, and as you remain consistent, even for a short time, you will begin to see signs, small at first, then unmistakable, that the transformation has begun. This is not just about better habits. This is about becoming. This is about rising into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, and it all begins with your voice, your willingness to speak the truth day after day, until that truth becomes your lived reality. Keep going, keep speaking, keep transforming. The change you seek is already in motion.